fields are breathing slow. There's a mother calling softly for the child she came to know. We took her milk, we took her baby, called it custom, called it need. But the earth remembers every bond we break to feed our greed. Bring the cows back to their mothers, bring the milk back to the young. Let no baby be.
Hello, Georges and Leah, our special guests who will come here today and talk with us. And hello, Georges, very much welcome.
Hello, thank you, Anne, for having me, of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And hello, Leah. So nice to meet you both. And we are so honored to have you here as our special guests. And you know, this is very special for me. I have met Georges several times for different interviews, and Georges is the owner of the only vegan hospital in the world. And we are very honored to have you here today. And I will do a short interview with you, actually. And then we will hear Leah Wilburn talking. She's working for In Defense of Animals, where she is a campaign specialist for farmed animals. So it's so wonderful to have you both here. And I will start with an interview with you, Georges. And we are very honored also that you are here in the midst of war and very difficult situations in Beirut and Lebanon at the moment. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you. For those who don't know you, Georges, and don't know about your hospital and the work, would you just like to give us a little bit of a background, how you started the Hayek Hospital? I mean, the Hayek Hospital you have had in your family for many, many years, I know, but how it became vegan and how you're working also with advocacy for the animals at the hospital and so on. Would you like to tell us a little bit, please?
Of course. So first of all, I want to go back to when I went vegan. That was back in 2014. And this is when I stumbled into a slaughter video of a cow being slaughtered in an abattoir on my social media account by an annoying vegan extremist, as I used to perceive them before. But thankfully, he opened my eyes and my heart, basically. This is when I went back home and I cuddled my dogs. I had 4 dogs at home, and I felt the hypocrisy of my actions, my daily actions. I had this footage of this cow being slaughtered barbarically in this slaughterhouse while cuddling my dogs, and this is when something hit me, and I felt the urge to dig more into this matter, into this subject. Because as you know, and those industries, animal agriculture industry, they rely on secrecy. They rely on not showing exactly what's happening behind slaughterhouses' walls. Whereas they show you on TV, on billboards, happy cows running on green fields, singing, dancing, happy to be a piece of steak on your plate. Whereas the reality is very far from this. So I did my research on this matter. I first turned vegetarian, and then I heard about veganism. I searched more deeply into that. I found out that the dairy industry and the egg industry is even more cruel than the meat industry. And we can go into deep into that. Why is it more cruel than the meat industry, as a matter of fact? So this is when I decided to ditch all animal products, including, of course, dairy and eggs, and I turned vegan. We are fortunate enough, I'm privileged to be in a family that owns a hospital in Beirut, a private hospital founded by my grandfather, Dr. Salim Hayek, back in 1972. And then my father took over, and now it's my turn to continue this journey. So it was only like natural for me. First, I started by opening a modest social media account on the internet called Lebanese Vegans, which today is thriving, and I turned it into an official NGO. It's where I express myself. I prepare myself the post that you can watch on our accounts. I am being true to myself. The way I perceive things, I expose it. I put myself into the victim's position, not into the oppressor's feelings, because if we want to look at it from the oppressor feeling, we might be apologetic in a way or another, and we won't do justice to animals. So yeah, I decided to implement as well my new life, because I was born again, and I wanted to apply this and adopt this new way of thinking into our line of business, which it turned out to be a hospital, as a matter of fact. So I did my research. I wanted to have scientific support to my decision, because I can't just talk emotions at the hospital. I should talk scientific data. And thankfully, the science is in our side. All the studies, major publications and institutions, they have declared and stated very clearly that meat is carcinogenic. The highest classification of carcinogens. When you talk processed meat, it has the number one classification in the same category of tobacco. And red meat is 2A, so basically 1 and 2 of the highest classifications of carcinogens. So whether it was meat, whether it was dairy, I did my research on that, and the science is very clear. We are not supposed to inject hormones from lactating cow. And not to forget all the damages that dairy does to our health. As my research showed, dairy is responsible directly for breast cancer in women and prostate cancer in men. Eggs is a bombshell of cholesterol. We all know that every cholesterol that comes from the exterior is LDL, is the bad cholesterol. Our body produces the right amount of cholesterol that our body needs. So yeah, it was rather easy for me as a decision, because I had the data in hand, and I was able to forward it to the hospital's board and to our doctors and our staff as well. Of course, it was a difficult journey. It took me around 2 years to transition into fully plant-based. During those 2 years, I made sure to provide everyone with sufficient information on why our hospital is ditching animal products and replacing it with exclusively vegan plant-based food. A lot of training, a lot of conferences, documentary screenings, seminars were held at the hospital, whether for our team or even for the public, because I wanted also to involve the public, the community, so that they would know as well why we took this decision. Of course, not everyone were happy with our decision. Some of them criticized it and so on and so forth. But as I mentioned, since the science is in my side, my only response to people who oppose my decision is that they can submit their complaint to the WHO, to the Cancer Research UK. They are responsible for stating meat as carcinogen and dairy and so on and so forth. So I had the support, and a very big support. This is why I felt I had the strength to proceed with my decision, and this is what happened. Back in March 2021, I took the final decision to remove both version meal, based meal and a plant-based meal. This was during the transition, and of course, our dietitian, Ms. Samira Khan, she used to, while conducting her visit, explain to our patient that we do offer both meals during the transition period, of course, but why our patients should choose the plant-based meal over the animal-based meal. After 2 years, and in March 2021, I decided to end this transition period and to move into a fully vegan hospital. We started offering exclusively plant-based meal to our patients. At the cafeteria of the hospital as well, we started offering exclusively vegan food for our visitors, their family, and everyone. So it was a long journey. This year we are celebrating 5 years of the transition of being vegan, and believe me, it's the best decision that I ever took for the hospital. And you know, I didn't just we're not talking only about food, but we're talking also about furniture, about blankets, about as much as possible medication, because as you know, the majority of medication till today, unfortunately, are being tested on animals. So since we're living in a non-vegan world, this is my limitation. So I wanted to try to make the utmost of it. So basically, this is why and how I turned the hospital vegan.
So wonderful. And I also know that you are a very active activist, like we talked about, and you founded Lebanese Vegans. And we have been talking about this before, you and I, that you said sometimes at one point that it's never the right time to talk about animal rights, especially not in the Middle East, where it's always some problems and so on. And that we have seen horrific things going on in the Middle East, and you continue with your activism. Would you like to mention something about that?
Listen, as you mentioned, and you are absolutely correct, it's always hard to talk about something people disagree with to start with, basically. Eating animals is perceived as being extremely normal. So when you come and try to talk about it, they just like, they don't understand why we are trying to persuade them to stop killing, basically. And what more if we're trying to talk about this particular subject in a war zone? As you know, and as everybody that is listening today from each and every country that is all around the world, even if you are trying to outreach to non-vegans in countries like yours where you don't have war or killing, people will always try to find excuses. And one of the excuses that they find that, you know, people are killing each other. We should like focus on that more than on animals, even if in their country there's no killing. So what about if I'm trying to talk about animals and animal rights in a country where even human rights is not accepted or respected? But I really believe that the real victims of this world basically is the animals, not humans, because I talked about this subject before. Humans, I mean, they are the one responsible of all our misery, basically, whether the oppressor or the oppressed person, because both of them will end up oppressing animals. So I am here to defend the animals, the most oppressed species on earth. I keep politics aside. One day they bump each other, the other day they go and have coffee together and have dinner together. So I'm not into politics. Thankfully, there are a lot of human rights organizations that are trying to talk about this matter, but unfortunately, animal rights activists and organizations are very few compared to human rights, and we don't have the luxury to dilute animals amidst the war that is happening. So of course, I got a lot of backlash on what I'm trying to outreach. I mean, I post on a daily basis. Back from 2014 till now, I never stopped posting on a daily basis, and we've been through a lot of wars during those years. I never stopped talking about animals. I always received backlash and I got criticized on how can I be talking about animals when not far away bombs are hitting people and everything. So I really believe that I really respect basically human rights activists and organizations. They are doing their job and they should be there to defend humans, but don't let them step on our feet and try to impose uh, politics or their point of view, or try to silence us or mute us regarding the animals that they are responsible for slaughtering and killing.
Yeah. I know that you also have done an amazing campaign now for dairy cows, and you are turning towards mothers and female women and talk about this issue very much. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that campaign?
Yes, of course. And listen, throughout my activism years, I always try to find a way to reach people, to reach people's hearts more than anything else. Although I do talk about the medical aspect and the environmental aspect, but veganism is about animals, and that's it. So I try to find some humanity in people's hearts. This is why I thought that maybe if we start by talking about dairy and the horrible behaviors and practices that those industries inflict upon animals, maybe we might trigger people into thinking more, into be less apathetic and more have empathy towards those poor animals. Because when we talk about dairy, basically we're talking about mothers and babies. So we all have mothers, and a lot of people do have babies. So maybe if we try to tackle this issue from this perspective, try to tell them that, listen, now that you're a mother, maybe you can relate what's happening in those dairy industries. They do separate babies from their mother. Are you okay with that as a mother? I try to find some empathy in this apathetic world. People are blindfolded. They do accept injustice basically, and this is very sad. So I try to now with this campaign that you just mentioned, first of all, to remind everyone, including so-called educated people, that cows are not milking machines and they do not produce milk just like that. Basically, they're mammals like any other female mammal. They should be pregnant. They should give birth in order for their body to be able to produce milk. So whenever people are drinking milk, they should know that they are drinking fluids that are produced basically for babies. This point, to my biggest surprise, a lot of people do not know this fact. They don't know that cows should be mothers first and upmost in order for them to be able to produce milk. And same goes to the babies. When I talk to people, when I tell them, then listen, do you mind if we take away your mother and just kidnap her and you won't ever see her again? Well, this is exactly what happens in dairy industry. So you do have a mother eventually. So are you okay with that? So I try to tackle the child and the mother. Try to find if those people and humanity still has some humanity inside of them, basically.
Yeah, thank you. And soon, in the 2 weeks, we will have the International Calf and Cow Mother's Day coming, May 9 and 10. And I know you will do something at the hospital. Would you like to tell us what you would
Yes,
do?
of course. So, what we will do during those 2 days is that we will be offering free samples of vegan plant-based cheese to our patients and visitors, along with a pamphlet that explains about the horrific practices of dairy industry, and at the same time, we will give them those samples so that they can see that they won't be missing on anything if they ever go vegan, but on separating mothers from their child and forcibly impregnating females and then slaughtering this mother whenever her production declines. And it's true that a lot of cows, dairy cows, end up their journey in slaughterhouses while being pregnant because the job of a dairy cow, I mean, in those industry is to always be pregnant so that they would be able to produce milk. So they always impregnate cows, even those who might not be able to give birth due to their fatigue and exhaustion. So those cows, yes, while pregnant, they go to slaughter and they provide the meat industry with cheap meat so that all this cheap meat that people are buying, it comes from dairy cows, mothers, not from the beef industry.
Yeah, thank you so much for your amazing work for the animals and for your, I mean, you're such an inspiration and it's such an honor to have you here today. Thank you so much. And we will now hear from our second guest that we have this hour. And it's Leah Wilburn, and she's a campaign specialist for farmed animals at In Defense for Animals in the US. And she works through, for instance, speeches, and she meets with members of Congress, and she's also hosting a monthly online vegan mentor support group, among many other things. She can introduce herself. Please, Leah, welcome.
Thank you so very much, Anne. George, in deep, deep gratitude and admiration, I need to be professional, but tearing up in your words and all that you are doing, and just it is such an honor to be here. Climate healers, Dr. Sailesh Rao, Tami Hay, the incredible activists right before us with the SAVE movement. This is the most powerful activism that I know of these days in the vegan movement. The vegan movement, I'm finding, is becoming a lot less bold in their advocacy. In general, the animal advocacy movement has turned in the last 10 years or so, it seems, more towards being quiet about representing the animals and talking more about the environment and human rights, and that's fine. But veganism is inherently, and this of course is what I'm going to be talking about today, it's about the animals. So yes, my name is Leah Wilburn. I'm the Farmed Animals Campaign Specialist at In Defense of Animals, which is my absolute honor to be their voice. And yeah, so I will just get started. I'm going to be sharing some slides. And I also wanted to say, you know, we always have to think about who is our audience, and this is vegan convergence of the people. So I assume that most of the people watching right now are already vegan, but of course, we want to be sharing this with the world, right? So that non-vegans are seeing this. So I'm keeping that in mind with some of the things I will be sharing. There will be a short video towards the end, but there will be a little bit of very brief graphic imagery. So I just wanted to let everyone know that within the belief that it is up to us to witness and to show the truth of what these precious beings are really going through. So I'm going to share my screen right now and I'll get started. All right. Can you all see that?
Yes, thank you. We can.
All right. Speaking up for all mothers and their babies, dairy, the humane scam, and vegan advocacy. So interesting timing. Right before this month, last month, it was International Women's Month, and In Defense of Animals started a brand new initiative that we hope to do every year to utilize International Women's Month to, of course, bring more awareness to the world about what female animals go through in all industries that exploit them. So we had a whole month-long program of resources. We did alerts, we had articles all on the different ways that female animals are exploited and amplifying what they experience and honoring their lives and their motherhood. The Hatching Kindness Project is just something that I wanted to include in one of the articles. It's incredible educational alternative because so many elementary schools now, like during the spring, teachers actually have live chick hatching programs for children, which is again just viewing animals, teaching children to view animals as products for us, as commodities, as something to laugh at, and then they are just discarded. So this provides beautiful educational animal-free alternatives for children. And then we also had an excellent we had a webinar, very lively, profound discussion with these two women, Ashley Capps, who is one of the speakers this weekend, the founder of Mothers Against Dairy, and Yvette Baker, the founder of Apex Advocacy, all talking about collective liberation and the empowerment of women, but speaking directly to women and mothers, and really, for me, speaking to anyone who has a mother. So you can be any gender, any nationality, any sex. There isn't really anyone on this planet who isn't moved when we're talking about motherhood and their babies. So you can actually, I just wanted to say that you could go to idausa.org/Women's Month and find a lot more resources, and you could find the replay to that discussion. So we also had Dr. Silas Rao back in November. It was World Vegan Month. He was my first choice, really. So I was so happy that he was able to come on for climate justice, veganism, and bold change. And we had him for an hour. And I just wanted to put this up on the screen because the fact that this was his theme and what he really announces to the world and in his speech at the United Nations is advocating so boldly and clearly for zero animal exploitation for the entire planet. If you're talking seriously about truly reducing suffering, because we can't just say we're all about reducing suffering while leaving out the source of that suffering, which is our mindset that most humans believe that we just have an inherent right to use animals as we please. So I think that all animal advocates must be advocating for zero animal exploitation, not just treating them better within their systems of exploitation, and educating them about the truth of what really goes on, which is why I'm just so happy to be here as part of Climate Healers. And Silas Rao is one of our greatest teachers. So, International Calf and Cow Mother's Day. So happy to be joining in this incredibly powerful initiative. Just yesterday, it went out in our newsletter. I wrote an article promoting this. And May 9th, there's going to be an action in Los Angeles, Hollywood Boulevard, I believe. It's going to be co-hosted by IDA, the Plant-Based Treaty, LA Animal Save, Animal Alliance Network, and others. So idausa.org/farmed animals. If you go to latest news, you will see that article, and also go to calfandcow.org and you'll be finding out more information about all the different events that are happening. You can submit your own event there too. So just so proud to be part of this. So this is just some things that has been really important to me to promote through In Defense of Animals as the Farmed Animals campaign person, representing them, really making sure that veganism is advocated for and promoted, and not just better welfare. So we have a whole campaign page, Evergreen, that's now on there permanently in the farmed animal section of In Defense of Animals, vegan wake-up call with a video. These are resources that I just wanted to let you all know that you know, these are really powerful to share with your non-vegan friends and family. Go to the farmed animals section on In Defense of Animals. And then I also have a Speciesism, the Root of Animal Oppression, all about that, because it is very important, again, like I said, to talk about the source of why animals are suffering in the first place. Speciesism is really the first form of discrimination that us as children are taught. And to start recognizing that, this was World Day for the End of Speciesism, where we joined, it was a coalition of organizations all around the world. That was back in August 29th, I believe. That was in San Francisco, that photo in the middle, just joining with other activists and just getting across, like that sign was something I had made, no difference. Dogs and cats are revered in Western society, but it is up to us as advocates to, of course, put both of their faces together. A mother cow, a pig, a chicken, a turkey, no different from our dogs and cats in all the ways that matter. And then, of course, exposing humane washing. So that's another page on our website. Another really good resource that I would recommend, just goes through all of the different ways that we are being lied to by animal farming, not just the factory farming industry, but we have to really debunk the small, local, organic family farm myth. So idausa.org/humane washing, you will find that resource there. Now, cage-free is something that has just become really advocated by a lot of animal welfare groups too, because of course, who doesn't want birds to be out of their cages? But what we must get across is that cage-free is not cruelty-free. So whether they're even a backyard chicken, for instance, they're still being viewed as commodities for us to use. But cage-free is just one big cage. It's the same factory farm, but with the cages removed. And the hens are suffering their entire short lives because even at the very least, on top of all the other ways that they are suffering, is their bodies are bred to grow as fast as possible so that they can be killed as fast as possible. So they're suffering from osteoporosis, bone fractures, and many other things. Now, back in January, this has really been a help to us animal advocates because we can get across. There was a white paper that came out, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, on the failure of cage-free housing systems to reduce overall hen suffering. So these are just some of the ways that hens still suffer that we have to get across to the public about cage-free eggs. They're still confined on average only 1.5 square feet of space per bird, more injuries, broken bones, pecking wounds, more disease spread from the dense flocks of being packed in together thousands at a time, the ammonia buildup, respiratory illness, organ failure, so still pain from that. Beak slicing, another standard practice. The industry calls it beak trimming. Ridiculous, another euphemism. Long-term pain they're suffering. And what is often left out in cage-free campaigns is that all the male babies and their mothers are still sent to the slaughterhouse. So there was also a open letter by 47 and counting now international scholars from animal law, animal ethics, public health, all these different experts. And they all came together and signed this letter, reconsidering cage-free, an open letter from concerned scholars. And it has gone out now to some animal protection organizations that really warning them that we are risking further entrenching animal ag and actually helping them by promoting cage-free as something that is good. It is up to us to educate that it is not enough. So, and also it does nothing to mitigate the pandemic threat, the spread of zoonotic disease, of course, the bird flu virus, which is out of control. Now, these video clips, that's from a video and an alert that In Defense of Animals did, but that footage in huge gratitude to Animal Outlook and also OurHonor.org. Our Honor is a veterinary advocacy organization that tells the truth about what farmed animals are really going through. And we showed a clip from this video. So showing this hen in an experiment that was done to test ventilation shutdown. The animals suffer a prolonged death in agony because the ventilation systems are shut down and they turn up the heat. Farmers use it to kill entire flocks, and it can take hours for panicked victims to die. This is another thing that the public needs to know about. And we have to be careful about constantly referring to animal farming and animal exploitation and using animals for food products as just factory farming, because that nowadays can start to imply that there's a better way to do it. Small local family farms are better, when actually that is not the case, of course. And in some cases, animal ag is using this to their advantage because they say, oh no, we're not a factory farm. No, we're a family farm. And so advocates usually think, though, everyone is against factory farming, so let's just focus on that of what people are already against. It's not doing anything to change, in many cases, to change what's really is going on in people's minds, because they associate cruelty with just factory farms, but they're still thinking that there's a good way to do it. So I suggest that when we talk about it, that we just say all animal farming or animal exploitation using animals for food. And it is up to us animal advocates to get across to the public that the standard practices, again, in all animal farming is legalized cruelty. So going down the list, sexual violation, not just of female animals, actually. This is another thing that most people don't know. Male animals, too, are manually masturbated to collect their semen. Forcible impregnation, babies are taken from their mothers, routine and prolonged extreme confinement of calves as well, mutilations without painkillers like burning off their horn buds. People say, why not painkillers? It's because these animals are seen as products and commodities. So painkillers, anesthesia would cost more money. And again, regardless, even if they did use painkillers, these animals do not deserve any of this. Male calves and male chicks and their mothers killed in the dairy and egg industries, bred to grow as fast as possible, which causes them more suffering. They are exposed to extreme weather and no food or water for days, up to weeks in the trucks to the slaughterhouses. Most animals are killed as infants. Most people do not know this. And what most people don't realize is many are still conscious while they are slaughtered, because stunning is just to immobilize them so they can't fight back. It's not to guarantee that they're not conscious. So we did an alert recently going after the humane certified programs, the three biggest ones: certified humane, animal welfare approved, and animal welfare certified, which is Global Animal Partnership, GAP. Those photos are taken in a local Whole Foods grocery store. Again, making people feel better about buying animal products. And that Global Animal Partnership has been exposed multiple times by undercover investigations of the disgusting cruelty that animals endure, regardless of what humane certified label might be on there. So we would love anyone to sign that because it's targeting these industries and these certification programs. Again, you could go to the farmed animals section of In Defense of Animals and look for latest news. This is the dairy industry. This is what people need to see and know. This is what is often left out in animal advocacy in some of the bigger organizations when we're only talking about better welfare. These are the male calves being slaughtered and their mother. The upper right photo, that's another way that dairy cows are exploited. Pardon me, not dairy cows. I'm trying to stop saying that myself. Cows exploited and killed for their milk. That was at State Fair where they have birthing shows. This is seen as entertainment. They induce the mothers to give birth on schedule so that they will give birth in front of crowds, and people find it fascinating. They bring their children to watch. Then they take the mother from the baby, and then, of course, when the fair is over, those babies and those mothers are still slaughtered. This is the message. There is no humane way to exploit animals. So veganism is simply the principle that humans should live without exploiting other animals. And as a vegan, we reject the exploitation of animals, but we are for animal freedom, animal liberation, empathy, justice, and compassion. And to advocate from the perspective, like George said too, from the victim's perspective, that these are all individuals having a subjective experience of life. They are all families. They have an inherent desire to live and be free and be with their families. And this is how we must advocate for them. So that it's not a diet, it is a justice movement. We are absolutely advocating for a healthy, plant-based, balanced diet for all humans, absolutely, but we must not stop there. We need to, of course, educate people that it's not just about the food system. It's animals used in entertainment, for their wool, for their flesh, for clothing, in experimentation and research and entertainment. That big photo is rodeo violence and torment. We've done many alerts to expose rodeos as well. And again, to make the point that it's all unnecessary, and to get across to everyone that the leading nutrition organizations in the world have stated that a balanced plant-based diet is not only healthy for all stages of life, but can help to prevent the top human diseases. I find that generally starting with that, because that's so often the first argument that people present, well, we have to. It's not only what we've always done, but it's necessary. We need to, and that needs to be debunked right away. And that we must normalize being vegan and what it's about, and that we must tell the truth and show the truth. That photo in the middle, that is actually Dr. Faraz Harsini. He is the founder of Allied Scholars for Animal Protection. We've had him on too, talking about vegan advocacy and how to speak to people. But his organization is all about educating students in universities and colleges and training the next generation of thought leaders. And in all of his talks at universities, he shows 3 minutes of the film Dominion, because he too believes, as I do, that we can't just advocate for veganism and for animals without being sure to get across somehow. And usually that comes across in footage the most. We have to show the truth because it is our duty to the victims. And from the perspective of, if this was happening to you or someone that you care about, how quickly would you want it to end? So on that note, I'm just going to show a brief video. This was part of targeting the humane certified programs. All right. These are some of the beautiful rescued individuals who I've met. I haven't met that lovely fish on the left, but again, we must not forget about all of the trillions of aquatic animals around the world who are also individuals and who also feel pain and suffer. So advocating again for peace and liberation and collective liberation for all, because the human species is under, we have a blind spot, we have a mask in front of us that is not allowing us to connect with the most innocent and vulnerable. And isn't it ironic that all farmed animals are herbivores? These are the gentlest animals on the planet, and they endure the largest, most widespread, longest running atrocity in all of human history. So it is up to us to tell their stories. And thank you so much for everyone for being here and for all of the incredible work that you do. And lastly, you can stay informed with In Defense of Animals. Go to idausa.org/farmed animals and go to latest news for all of our latest alerts and articles. You go to sign up to get our newsletter, and then /vegan support if you'd like to join our monthly free vegan mentor support group open to pre-vegans, new vegans, long-term vegans, anyone. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Leah. Amazing. And thank you for your incredible work. Thank you to both of you. It has been so wonderful hearing you and so inspiring, and it really gives hope and courage. I would like to ask the audience if we have any questions. So we have time for that. I don't see so many here, but maybe you can. Yeah, good if you can raise your hands. I have a question actually to both of you just before that. What would you say is most needed from us vegans today and animal rights activists to really be able to create change? Because, you know, we feel like Dr. Salish Rao was talking about as well. I mean, time is running for us, and we have this extreme, horrific injustice going on towards the animals, and our planet is you know, what is most needed from us today, you would say?
George?
Thank you. First of all, Leah, I would like to thank you for your powerful presentation. It's really, I'm really glad to listen to you. Because unfortunately, as you mentioned, a lot of animal rights activists are leaning towards welfareism, and this bothers me a lot. So I'm really glad that we're talking on the same page here. And yeah, of course, I truly believe that we should focus on the injustice that is that we are doing to animals. I mean, it's not a requirement to love animals to be vegan. I always say that you might not have any kind of feelings towards animals, but at the same time, you respect their autonomy and you respect not having a sharp knife slicing their throat. The same goes to, I mean, my neighbor. I don't like much my neighbor, but I would not go and hit him. So we should focus on the main thing is that veganism is a justice movement that rejects injustice and barbaric acts, that it's well about time that we evolve upon this primary, instinct and become better humans.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, George, for your kind words. Likewise. Yes, I think in addition to speaking of this as a justice movement and from the victim's perspective, and really elevating and educating the public about the truth of what's really happening behind the scenes. I'd like, for instance, I had to go to an event recently. I didn't have to, but I chose to, and it was kind of like a propaganda festival. It was sort of like a bunch of ranchers getting together to advocate for staying in a national park and allowing them to stay in a national park, even though they're desecrating the land and they're using their private dairy industry, you know, to destroy the land. And of course, not to mention what they're doing to the cows and then the wild animals who are being killed. But so much of the public just has no idea about the cruelty cruelty that's inflicted on these animals behind the scenes. And so I think that getting the truth out there of the standard practices in all animal farming, not just focusing on the industrialized part of it, and the huge corporate system, which is, of course, so important. So that's one thing. But also, I think getting across the inherent corruption of animal agribusiness, really, that we are being lied to, but also the skewed subsidy system. And there was a report put out by Stanford that 800 times more public government funding in the United States goes towards animal ag than towards plant-based alternatives. And I think once people start to understand this and realize also about the pandemic threat, that these industries are lying to us and they're getting propped up by our governments, the inherent unfairness of that, I think, is really important, and starting to have more organizations really pressuring Congress and politicians, because until politicians start feeling some pressure to start not being so influenced by the money, like money in politics, we have to expose how in bed politicians are with animal ag. So I think just kind of the inherent unfairness, yes, the violence, but also how human beings are being so affected by this industry and how the planet. So all of it, but most important is just telling the truth about all of it, and being a little more willing to let people be uncomfortable. Because as George said too, and I went vegan in 2013, so right around the same time. And like you said, your eyes were opened because of an annoying vegan, right? Well, same here. I wish there'd been more annoying vegans in my day. I would have gone vegan sooner, because there's nothing annoying. They're telling the truth. I came across the footage and I found out later it was a PETA video. So if I hadn't seen that PETA video when I did, which was showing me the truth, yes, it made me uncomfortable. Yes, it gave me nightmares. I'd wake up in the middle of the night crying. It changed my life forever, but for the better. And I'm so grateful to those advocates who speak up and tell the truth and show the truth. So yeah.
Thank you. I will let Dr. Sailesh Rao. You had a question, Sailesh.
Yeah, both in defense of animals and George's, what the work you're doing, you're leading in your field. You're literally, I would think that every hospital should be emulating you. Similarly, every animal rights organization should be emulating IDA. And now the question I have for you is, how do we grow you? Have you thought about how do we grow you? How do we make more and more hospitals be vegan? And more and more animal rights organizations to advocate for complete liberation?
Of course. First of all, thank you for your kind words. I truly believe in changing the individual prior to changing any kind of business, because I can speak of myself. I mean, I changed, and I am fortunate to be owning a hospital. It is very difficult to try to convince anyone, whether a hospital owner or a school owner or whatever, to turn his business vegan if he himself is not vegan. So I truly believe in a one-on-one conversation, in the power of changing the individual. We can never know to whom our words are falling, and it might hit them hard, and maybe the next person we're talking to might be owning a franchise of restaurant, might be owning a hospital here and there, because as much as we try to present them with facts and studies and meta-analysis and everything, if they are not willing to accept that what they were doing is wrong and they should change, they will never change their line of business, whether a hospital or not. So my answer for you is change the individual, regardless of whom this person is. We might never know to whom we're talking to, because as I mentioned, it is very hard. Even though I take my blueprint because I prepared a blueprint for other hospitals to follow my footstep. I tried to knock on other hospital doors. The owners are not vegan, so they are automatically rejecting the idea. So first of all, change the individual and businesses would follow. It's my humble opinion.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yes. Amen. Amen. I absolutely agree. Hello, Sailesh.
Thank you.
Lovely to see you. Thank you for your kind words. And I'll just, in the last minute that we have, this is just me as an individual speaking, but I would like to start talking to other organizations, and Sailesh, maybe we can all be a part of this, but to start a coalition for animal liberation. So have like a central place, maybe start a website, and then start having, I mean, Vegan Convergence of the Peoples is of course doing that now, but to start bringing in all of the organizations who are willing to have veganism right front and center, and not just talking about factory farms, and not being afraid to speak of the truth of what really happens to animals. So bringing in not just other animal protection organizations that speak the truth about and advocate for veganism as the solution to not just animal suffering, but to saving the planet, but other experts who are also vegan in other sectors, like scholars, scientists, doctors, George, I mean, just all these different fields. So finding the vegan animal rights folks in those different sectors and bringing them together in the same way, which was so inspiring to me, those 47 scholars from around the world who put together an open letter reconsidering cage-free eggs, and they sent it to all the big animal protection organizations. So what if we did that? Everybody got together and brought experts from all these different fields, as well as us animal advocates, but anyone who is advocating for animal liberation and zero animal exploitation message. Bring all of us together. Let's get a big funder that's willing to start an entirely new project for that, and have climate healers also right at the top of that advocacy and that initiative. So that's one idea.
Thank you for that idea, Leah.
Thank you so much. Nancy, you also raised your hand, please.
Thank you all so much. This is so inspiring. I just want to address the question of war, and especially for you, Georges. When thinking about it, animal agri-torture, most wars, if not all wars, are about, stealing other people's land and resources. And animal agri-torture, that's the word I use, uses more land and resources than all the other industries, including petroleum. 1/3 of all petroleum goes to that industry, and it's connected with the medical, pharmaceutical corporations, which are right below. So when we're talking about militarization and killing and bombing, which just seems so insane that the human species is killing the human species, how crazy is that? But I think might be a good link. It's responsible for starvation. It's responsible for disease and pandemics. It's responsible for the climate crisis. It's responsible for so much, but it's also responsible for war. Thank you.
Yes.
And I have to say, I cry every day listening to Democracy Now! About Lebanon and Syria and Gaza and the West Bank and Sudan. I mean, anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Nancy, for your kind words. Of course, the link is there, and you are absolutely correct. We can show them the link between what we do to each other and what we do to animals. we should continue what we're doing, although I mean the road is harsh and difficult and very long. We should know that, and we should accept this fact that we are dealing with a mentality that dates years and years. So in order for us to be able to change this mentality, it will take us a lot of effort, of our time, of our energy, our patience, our nerves, because God knows to what extent our nerves are being tested while advocating to animals. But we're focused, and it's good. It's good to see people like you, like Leah, like Dr. Rayo. I mean, those people are genuine people, and we count on you to spread positivity and humanity. Basically, we need humanity. A lot of humans with no humanity, basically.
Women, amen.
Thank you so much. It has been so wonderful to meet you both, and thank you so much for everything you do. Okay.
Thank you so much, Anne, for hosting that. And George, again, thank you for being here in the middle of a war when every day you kept Anne and I posted whether you were going to be able to show up or not. It's very heartwarming that, you know, it breaks down all the barriers that we can't show up, all the reasons we can't show up. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tami.
For
We have the moral responsibility to talk on behalf of those who can't.
Thank you.
On a daily basis.
Thank you, everyone.
In the early morning quiet, when the fields are breathing slow, there's a mother calling softly for the child she came to know. We took her milk, we took her baby, called it custom, called it need. But the earth remembers every bond we break to feed our greed. Bring the cows back to their mothers, bring the milk back to the young. Let no baby be taken before their life's begun. Bring them home to their mothers, let their bodies tell the truth. What was made for loving was never ours to use. She knows him by his breathing, by the sound beneath his cry, by the way the dawn is shining in his dark and liquid eyes. This is more than instinct speaking, more than nature's simple way. This is a love that crosses species, older than the word away. Bring the cows back to their mothers, let the circle still be whole. What is taken breaks the planet, what is love restores the soul. Bring them home to their mothers, let compassion be our guide. Every child beside their mother, every mother with her child. I have walked where moose give birth, where the cows lay down to calve. Placenta on the forest floor, a boundary sacred, raw and vast. I did not belong inside that circle, and she let me know it true. She ushered me back from the forest, from her home, where she belonged, not you. Bring the cows back to their mothers, honor where the birth blood lies. There are laws older than markets written in the mother's eyes.
This last year, the krill fishery took 650,000 metric tons out of the Southern Ocean. And this is literally taking the food out of the mouths of whales and penguins, seabirds and seals. These species are being severely impacted by the greed of the krill fishery.
And out beyond the breaking waves, where the great blue mothers roam, there are calves beneath the surface, learning oceans as their home. We reach deep for a tiny body, scoop the krill from living seas. But that food was made for mothers and the young they hold and feed. the seas to feed their young. Let the whales and gentle giants raise their babies strong and sound. Bring them home to their mothers, land and ocean, hoof and fin. When we stop what's not ours to take, the healing can begin. We are waking from a long divided dream, where we fed on domination and called violence routine. Now a wider love is moving through our hands and what we choose. Every meal a sacred promise that no mother has to lose. Beloved, stand beside me with your feet upon the ground. Let our lives be living answers, let protection make it sound. This is how the world turns gentle, this is how the old ways end. When we choose the mother-child bond again and again and again. Bring the cows back to their mothers, let the mothers keep their.
It's a tiny bit less than 80 acres. I have Jersey cows, Holstein cows, a yak.
She estimates she's rescued about 158 cows.
And most cows don't get to live like this. It makes me happy.
Tack Writer says she got to know cows working at a dairy farm in 1976.
The cows were just wonderful, and when they stopped making milk, they got slaughtered.
She decided to create the sanctuary after tragedy struck.
Huge storm, and I found all these dead cows in the field. The first cows I had were the 6 babies that survived the lightning storm.
She wrote a children's book about that experience, with proceeds benefiting the nonprofit, which she runs herself.
We feel entitled to artificially inseminate a cow, and when she gives birth, we steal her baby. Even though her cries of anguish are unmistakable,